my friends. Today I have a special edition for you. Okay. Now, generally we are talking about metal and stuff like that. You know, different kind of metal guitars and high gain guitars and all that. Today we are starting with the basics of the guitar. One of the first models which was commercially in market. So we have a the telecaster, the Fender Telecaster. Now, the little history about the Telecaster is, Mr. Leo Fender, who was not a guitarist, he was a master engineer and a craftsman who made the first guitar which is commercially successful in those days, way back in the 50s, that was called the Telecaster. Okay. Initially he called it the Broadcaster, but he had a problem with the Gretsch, a rival company. So what happened, he had to remove the name of Broadcaster and make it into a Telecaster. Okay, so that's a little bit of the history. Now this guitar was made way back in the early mid 50s, and this one is a replica of that. This is not the original guitar. This is not the original 1950s guitar, but this one is a reissue. Okay, so if I had the money to buy the original one, I'd love to, but that would cost me a fortune. All right, I don't have that kind of money. I need money to buy other guitars as well, but this one is a reissue in 2018. Okay, so this is a Fender Telecaster Deluxe Classic Vibe era 1950s. Okay, so this is a very beautiful guitar. The color is called the butterscotch blonde, if you can see closely. Butterscotch blonde, maple neck, maple fretboard, typical Tele headstock. We don't have the lock-in tuners, there's just a normal tuner. Okay, this is handcrafted in California, the place where Fenders take place. Alright, now the body is swamp wood. You can see the grain, if you can see, I don't know how clear your views are, the grain of the wood here and there through the paint job. Okay, then you have the pickguard, the classic pickguard, the lipstick pickup for your neck pickup, and your bridge pickup. Both are single coils, three-way switch. Okay, volume, tone. Okay, and unlike the other models which came a little later, which had the the string through body, this one is the string stopped out here. Okay, a very vintage looking. They used to call it the ashtray because of this shape. They call it the ashtray model for the pickguard. Okay, for the bridge. I'm sorry. The dots are all in black ebony. Okay, and the fretboard is made up of your brass, which originally used to be, and you see this one. You have your if you could back a little bit, you can see this one is a bolted neck. Okay, that's the difference which took place before. Traditionally the necks were like glued in, but Mr. Fender came up with the idea of bolting in the neck. Okay, and this is just a cover, but basically this neck is one piece and this is another piece of the body. They are bolted in together, and that gives the different look as compared to your traditional guitars, and thus came the birth of your electric guitars. You have a Graftek nut for your nut, and if you see the tree of love which holds your strings together. Okay, all right. So let's start with the tones. First let's start with the clean tones. Okay, now let's just see. A typical twang which this Telecaster is famous for. Very useful in your rockabilly, your country and western, and the classic blues. Okay, so if you keep that neck pickup with full tone, you get that twang. Now if I reduce the tone value, let's take the neck pickup. The middle position. Sustain sounds very good. Now I'd like to mention one thing. I changed the pickups. I bought this guitar at a very reasonable price, even while buying new. But I changed the pickups after that because I generally like sounds with more high gain and sustain. Okay, so I changed the pickup. These are Seymour Duncans, my favorite. Okay, this one is a Seymour Duncan, and this one is a DiMarzio. Okay. So this one is more for the sustain, although it is kept traditionally. It looks very traditional with the lipstick guard pickup and the single coil out here, but the pickups have been changed, so that adds more value to the guitar in price wise. And otherwise, you know, it's a personal choice. Even the original pickups which were given out here was good for a classic Fenderish twangy kind of a sound, but if you want to go for your lead or your stuff like that, then I guess you have to change the pickup. Okay, that's the bad part. That's the upgradation. Now let's try with a little bit of overdrive. Okay, now the single coil. The neck. Can you hear the difference? This is the DiMarzio kind of a sound, because not the typical Fender sound. Right? Even in a single coil, it really keeps the 60 cycle the noise. You know, it's not a humbucker, so you get a 60 cycle hum, which is reduced because of changing of the pickup, and otherwise the sustain is very good. Even if I go for the full tone, the middle position, both the pickups are working. So that's how it sounds with the overdrive. Now, before I go for a jam track in the background where you can get how it really plays when you're playing it live, now what I can do is I'll talk a little bit more about the guitar. Now, some people have the feeling like this one is more for a classic rock to the max. You can go for your blues and jazz, or maybe your country with a twang. Okay, but there are people like Mr. Morello from the Rage Against the Machine. He mostly used a telecaster for his enormous. Of course, he had some modifications. So if you want a telecaster to go for a hard rock or a metal kind of a sound, I suggest you change the pickups according to your necessities. There are varieties of pickups: 65s, 32s, 82s, 81s, 90s, 2000s. Okay, you can go for Seymour Duncans, or you can go for your DiMarzios. Okay, that gives you a very metal tone. And when you go for the less gain, you reduce the volume and the tone, of course you can go for your classic sound as well. Okay, so before further ado, what I'll do is I'll play you a backing track and just see. Now this one is supposed to be a blues rock kind of a backing track. I'll give you the link in the description below. Now those of you who haven't yet subscribed, please do, so that, like I told you, we are not a paid channel. I didn't get any money from Fender to do the thing for them. You know, I'm not doing an appraisal. Of course, this is an appraisal. It's a good guitar. It's a part of history. But I'm doing it on my benefit and for the benefit of other fellow musicians who might be interested to buy this guitar. Okay, please go ahead. It's a good guitar. Very not very expensive. It's in the medium kind of a price, depending on which part of the world you are. I didn't buy it with any hard case or soft case. I got a different bag separately. The strap is a Fender strap. I just bought it separately. This is the upgradations, and the biggest upgradation what really costed me was to change the pickups. Okay, apart from that, everything is as it used to be when I bought it. Apart from changing the strings. Now this one is they generally sell it with the Fender bullet strings, but what I do is I generally change the string. A lot of rust and all that, you know, hanging in the shop or something. So I have used Diageo strings, the regular gauge, that's 942. You can go for 10s, 11s, depending on your personal taste. So like I said, please do subscribe and share the channel. Hit the bell icon, okay, so that you can always be the first one to view any new videos I come up with. Okay, and please stay in tune. All right. Well, that's how it is. Now, if you really need the feel for another guitar, this is that, okay? But please understand this. Just because you have a lot of guitars, it won't make you a very good guitarist. Okay? You can also practice the same tones in a guitar. I buy it because I'm in absolute love with guitars. I think the God's most beautiful creation is mankind, and mankind's most beautiful creation is a guitar, because you just imagine a piece of wood, some electronics and some metal strings and metal parts, but in the hands of a beast, it just screams and wails. You know, it just shows everything which you cannot show otherwise. Alright, so that's the reason I buy a lot of guitars, and not that I have a lot of money to throw away. Okay, so basically it's a very good guitar, 1950s reissue. Okay, I'll say it again. And Fender is a big name in the music industry. I mean, it's one of the biggest. Okay, the only competition comes from Gibson, maybe. Little expensive as compared to other guitars which you can get. There are a lot of different companies which make telecaster guitars, which you get at 1/4 the rate maybe. This one is not a very expensive one, even though it's made by Fender, but the same quality you can get from other companies at much reasonable rate. But just the logo and the stock, I mean on the headstock of Fender, it makes a part of history. So you can go for that. Alright, so please like and subscribe to the video. Okay, share the link with your friends. I say it again. Until then, take care of yourself, keep on practicing, and be the first one to watch the next video. Alright, I'll be back soon.